you guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have another dump and go crock pot video for you. So in this one I'm going to be sharing 5 different dinner ideas. These are all super quick and easy to just throw in your crock pot, let them cook all day, and then you'll come home to a nice warm dinner that will be perfect for your family. And this video is also a collab with my good friend Julia Pacheco. She also has a channel here on YouTube. So if you like my videos, I know you're going to love her. She does really similar content to mine. She does a what's for dinner every week, lots of crock pot meals, instant pot meals, just a ton of different recipes over there. So definitely head over there when you're done watching today's video. Give her some love and let her know that I sent you. And if you are coming over from Julia's channel, I just want to say welcome. My name is Caitlin. I do a ton of cooking content over here. A new what's for dinner every Sunday, lots of crock pot meals, meal prep, and other food related content. So if that is something that you're interested in, I would love to have you. But let's go ahead and get into all of these dump and go crock pot ideas. For this first recipe, I'm starting off with some Swedish meatballs. This recipe turned out absolutely amazing. So I'm starting off with 1 pound of ground beef and then 1 pound of some ground pork. I'm adding in about half of a yellow onion that's all minced up, and then a really big scoop of some minced up garlic. And then to bind all of that together, I'm just cracking in 1 egg. The seasoning in this is pretty simple but really flavorful. So you're gonna want about a tablespoon of some Italian seasoning, a 1/4 teaspoon of some pepper, and then about a teaspoon of just some regular salt. And then you're going to use your hands to mix all of this together. Of course, you can try to use a wooden spoon or something, but honestly, I just always use my hands. I find that it works so much better that way. Now that I have my meat all mixed up and ready to go, I'm actually going to be prepping my sauce before I even get my meatballs ready. So here I have 1 1/4 cup of some beef broth. I'm adding in about half a cup of heavy cream. I'm also adding in 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, as well as a big scoop of some minced garlic, probably about a teaspoon. I'm adding in 1 teaspoon of dried parsley, half a teaspoon of some regular salt, about a 1/4 teaspoon of some thyme, 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, and then just a little pinch of nutmeg in there. Along with your cornstarch, you're gonna want about 2 tablespoons of that just to kind of thicken up the sauce and just get all of that whisked together. Now that I have my meat all mixed together and my sauce all made, I'm just spraying my crock pot with a little bit of cooking spray, or you can throw a crock pot liner in there if you want to. And then you're just going to roll up your meatballs. So for this, I always love to use my cookie dough scooper. I think it works so amazing to make meatballs. It makes them all really nice, all the same size. Definitely recommend trying that out if you've never tried that for meatballs. I just scoop them all up and then roll them out quickly, and it makes really nice meatballs. So now that I have all of my meatballs formed and ready to go, I'm just going to take that sauce mixture and dump it right over the top of the meatballs. These took about 3 hours on high in my crock pot to cook all the way through. They turned out absolutely amazing. They were really juicy, filled with tons of flavor. This is definitely one of my all-time favorite crock pot recipes. I just served our meatballs over some rice, and this was such a delicious dinner. For this next recipe, I'm making some Tuscan chicken. This smelled absolutely amazing cooking up in the crock pot. I could not wait until dinner, and it tasted super good. So I'm just starting off by spraying my crock pot with a little bit of oil, and then I'm adding in 2 chicken breasts that I had all sliced up. I am going to season them just a little bit with some garlic powder, some Italian seasoning, as well as some salt and pepper. Now I'm sure you could put in chicken tenderloins here, or you could even even leave your chicken breast whole, but I do think that slicing up the chicken breast first really made all of the flavors get into the chicken, and it turned out super tender and delicious. So season that up, and then you're gonna want to add in about half a jar of alfredo sauce. I did go ahead and add a little bit of water into my jar, get the last of the sauce out and add that right on top. And then I'm adding in probably about a 1/3 cup of some sun-dried tomatoes. These were the ones that were in olive oil. And then I'm also adding in about 1 teaspoon of some Italian seasoning, giving that a quick mix together. And this only took about 3.5 hours on high in my crock pot, and you're just going to let your chicken fully cook through. After my chicken had fully cooked through, I'm adding in a couple cups of spinach that I just had in my freezer. It's all chopped up and I just stirred that in there. It pretty much wilted immediately. I didn't want to get this cooked up too long. I just wanted to wilt a little bit, and then this was all done and ready to serve. I ended up just serving mine over some rice, but you could also serve this over pasta, or if you are doing more of like a keto diet, you could definitely eat this plain too. It had a ton of flavor. This next dinner is a super easy one and also very budget friendly. So I'm just making a sausage and potato casserole. I'm actually starting off by mixing up the sauce. It's really simple. Here I'm adding in about half a cup of sour cream. I didn't measure it, but I just eyeballed about half a cup. And then I'm adding in 1 can of cream of mushroom soup into this mixing bowl. I'm also adding in about 3/4 cup of some 2% milk. For seasonings, I did about half a teaspoon of some onion powder, half a teaspoon of garlic powder. I'm adding in half a teaspoon of some salt, as well as a 1/4 teaspoon of some black pepper. And then the recipe did not call for it, but I really wanted to add in about a 1/4 teaspoon of paprika. I thought the flavor would be really good, and it definitely paired really well in this casserole. And then I'm just whisking all of that together. Now heading over to my crock pot, I'm just spraying that with oil, of course, and then I'm going to be adding in my potatoes. So I'm adding in about 3 cups of sliced up potatoes. You can add whatever type that you want. I did go ahead and peel them though, and then I have about 1 pound of sausage that I have all sliced up and ready to go, and I'm just kind of layering this up together. So I'm going to do potatoes, sausage, and then a layer of sauce, and then I'm going to repeat the process and do 1 more layer on top. After I had everything all added into the crock pot, I did give this a really quick stir together. I didn't probably completely mix it, but just a really quick stir to make sure that all of the potatoes were coated in the sauce. I didn't want anything to burn. And then you're just gonna cook this either on low for 6 to 8 hours, or I actually cooked mine on high for about 4 hours. And then I just added a little bit of shredded cheese on top, and it was good to go. This was such a flavorful dinner, a really great budget idea. Now I'm making my chicken taco chili. This is a recipe that I discovered years ago back in college. So it's really easy and also very budget friendly. So I'm starting off with 2 chicken breasts in my crock pot. Mine were frozen. You can use fresh or frozen here. Either will be just fine. Just get those added into your crock pot. And then I'm also adding in about 1 white onion, all chopped up and ready to go. Now for the beans, I personally like to add in a can of black beans. Of course, make sure that they are rinsed off. And then I'm also adding in 1 can of corn that is all drained. Now I'm also going to be adding in some chili beans, but you don't have to drain those. You can leave all of the sauce in your chili beans. And then for the tomatoes, you're gonna want a big can of the tomatoes. You can use either the petite diced or the crushed tomatoes. And then you're also gonna want to add in 2 jars of tomato sauce. Now the seasonings in this are pretty basic and simple. You're actually just gonna want a packet of some taco seasoning mix. I'm also adding in 1 tablespoon of some chili powder just to bring out that chili flavor. And then you can add in garlic powder, onion powder, as well as some cumin, salt, and pepper. Just add all of that to taste. See what you like. You may want to add a little bit more or a little bit less, just depending on your preferences. And then you're gonna stir all of this together and cook it on high for about 4 to 5 hours. You'll know that it's done when your chicken is completely cooked through and ready to shred up. I always like to use my hand mixer, but of course you can just take 2 forks and do it by hand that way too. After I have my chicken all shredded up and ready to go, I'm just adding it right back into my crock pot. I always like to let this sit for another 10 minutes or so just to really let all of the flavors kind of marinate together, and it just ends up really yummy. You can also freeze this. It's really easy to freeze. I just throw the extras into a Ziploc bag, throw it in the freezer, and it makes for a really great weeknight meal when I'm super busy and just don't want to cook dinner. I always serve this with a little bit of shredded cheese and some sour cream, and this is definitely a favorite meal for us and also very easy to throw together. For this next dinner, I'm going to be making some Italian chicken with some potatoes on the side, which was great. It was a nice full dinner. So I'm just starting off with getting my potatoes prepped up and ready to go. So you can either use like baby reds for this, like a smaller potato, or I just used the russets that I had on hand and I just cut them into about 8 pieces each, and that seemed to be about the perfect size for this recipe. Now I'm heading over to my bowl to make my sauce. So this is about half a cup of some chicken broth with about a 1/3 cup of some heavy cream. I'm also adding in some basil pesto. The recipe called for about a teaspoon, but I probably added in a little bit more than a teaspoon. I just really wanted that flavor to come through well. And then for other seasonings, I'm adding in about half a teaspoon of salt. I added in about half a teaspoon of some Italian seasoning, a little bit of garlic powder, as well as about a 1/4 teaspoon of some black pepper, and then a big scoop of minced garlic in there. And then to kind of thicken everything together, I'm adding in 2 tablespoons of some cornstarch, and I'm just whisking all of this together. Now that I have my potatoes and my sauce all ready to go, I'm just heading over to the crock pot with my spray cooking oil. I love this stuff for the crock pot. And then I'm gonna add in my 2 chicken breasts. So honestly, you guys, mine were completely frozen solid, but if I were to do this meal again, I would definitely slice them first. I think the flavors would get inside of the chicken breast a lot better. So I would definitely recommend slicing them. And then you can go ahead and add in your potatoes, as well as about half of a bell pepper. Mine was a sweet bell pepper, and I definitely think it paired well in this recipe. And then I just dumped the sauce all across the top. I ended up cooking this on high for about 4 hours, and it turned out absolutely delicious. It had a ton of flavor. I did find myself wanting a little bit more sauce with this, so honestly, next time I make this, I might double the sauce recipe and see how we like it. But this dinner had so much flavor and it was absolutely delicious. Alright guys, that is going to wrap up this dump and go crockpot dinner ideas video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you have not already. I would love to have you on my channel for tons of different recipes and motherhood content. And also don't forget to head over to Julia's channel and check out her dump and go crockpot video. I know you guys are going to love it. But thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye.
As a young girl, the fields were mine. We played hide and seek for hours, raised our shadows among the pines. So offshore, playful and free, without a care.